Hello and thank you for joining this Wellington 18-minute short within which I'll be answering the question, what is Microsoft Project for the Web? So I'm Baz Kinder, the Commercial Director of Wellington, and I've been involved in Microsoft PPM and PMOs now for slightly over 10 years. And again, this session is going to focus on shedding some light around the latest version of Microsoft Project. And as a quick spoiler, Project for the Web is essentially what most Microsoft Planner users wish Planner was, and for those that use Microsoft Project Desktop, it's the better looking sibling you've all been waiting for, and there we have it. But there is more to come, so do stay tuned. But before we get started, a very quick overview of who we are. Well, first of all, we are Wellington, and our promise to you is that by taking up our services, your project and portfolio management capability will be improved, and that is a money-back guarantee. And we've been around since 2001, and we've got offices in the UK, Ireland, Spain and India. And as you can see, we've managed to collect a few accreditations over the last 20 or so years. And in particular, we're a Microsoft Gold partner with the project and portfolio management specialization. And we offer a wide variety of services that span consultancy, technology and training, the focus being on helping our customers again to improve their PPM capability. You can of course read more by going to wellington.co.uk, so please do follow our link and have a look through the website. And just before I move on to today's topic, here's a small selection of our customers. Quite an eclectic mix of organisations, as you can see, but the one thing they all have in common is that they all manage projects and most of them have PMOs. Lots of case studies are available on the website, so again, do follow that link and take a quick peek. Okay, so moving on to the main topic for today, and that is to answer the question, what is Microsoft Project for the Web? And it's not surprising that this question comes up because there are quite a few variants of Microsoft Project, and that's something I covered in another recent video, the link for which you'll find down below in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. But to answer the question, Project for the Web is simply the latest version of Microsoft Project, but in Microsoft's own words, it's Project Reimagined, and it's been built based on user feedback really to provide a better fit for most teams. Taking a step back, let's take a very quick look at what the primary tools are within Microsoft 365 to really help us understand where Project for the Web really fits in. And first up, we've got Planner, which is really a lightweight task board that's designed for teams to work together on fairly simple initiatives such as marketing campaigns or event planning. Really the types of projects where you probably wouldn't be looking to create complex dependencies between tasks. You don't need access to traditional views like Gantt chart. But one of the limitations with Planner over and above that is that you can't roll up the data from across various plans into a single view. And if you're managing a program or running a PMO, that's definitely the kind of thing that you would need to do. So on the other end of the spectrum, to give you that kind of capability, we've got Microsoft Project Desktop app, which is what most of you probably picture when you hear the words Microsoft Project. It's a super powerful solution, and what's great is that you can extend it with Project Online, which really does provide more of our PMO capability. It acts as a centralized hub for all of your project artifacts and resource information as well, and it enables people to really come together and collaborate. But at the same time, whilst it is really powerful, it's also a little bit clunky, and rather than suiting the majority of users, I would say that it probably caters best for the minority, so those that are managing larger projects with complex plans. But one important factor here is that Project Online is also sadly approaching the end of life, so it has got a limited shelf life. And that then does bring us to Project for the Web, which I've often described as the love child of Planner and Project Online. And I say this because it provides scheduling capability that's similar to traditional Project, but with a much slicker user experience like the one that you get with Planner. But I would personally say that it's a little bit better because it does give you more. So to wrap this up, I'm actually going to use a Goldilocks analogy, which took me quite a while to think about, and you'll see the thought process that went into it. So you might turn around and say that actually Planner is maybe a bit too light, and you could say that traditional Project is maybe a bit too clunky and also a little bit dated, but with Project for the Web sitting in the middle, I would say it's just right, and that really is much to Goldilocks delight, to the point where she's even asking, well, I really want it. How much is it going to cost? And that's exactly what I'm going to cover now. I'm going to talk about licensing before I then move on to a live demo. I hope you liked it. It took me ages to find that picture of Goldilocks, but here we go. Let's talk about costings and licensing if you want to start using Project for the Web as it comes as a standalone solution. So in order to start using it, you'll simply need to get either Project Plan 1, which covers most bases from a planning perspective, or if you're more of a power user, you'd be looking at using Plan 3. And I will highlight some of the differences on the next slide. But at this stage, you might be wondering, well, what about Plan 5? And really, from my perspective, unless you're looking to extend Project for the Web with the wider Microsoft Power Platform that I'm going to talk about in a couple of minutes, it's not really needed. And to be completely frank, even if you have extended it with the Power Platform, there's not enough compelling reasoning to jump over to Plan 5, even at this stage. And before I move on, I just want to point out that the pricing displayed is from the Microsoft website. And if you belong to a larger organization that has an enterprise agreement in place, or maybe you belong to a government agency that again will get public sector pricing, either way, you'll find that the pricing is probably more attractive than what's displayed on the screen at the moment. So definitely go and have a chat with whoever manages licensing in your organization. And it might even transpire that you've already got licensing in place, in which case, happy days, you can start playing with it straight away. But as I promised, here's a brief breakdown of some of the differences between plans 1, 3 and 5. But to reiterate, plan 1 is very much geared towards light users that need to create basic plans. Plan 3, again, geared towards project managers, power users that want to, for example, view things like the critical path. They might want to create advanced dependencies between their tasks rather than just the simple finish to start links that you can do with Plan 1. They might also want to look at resource assignments in granular detail and really define who's working where and when. So again, Plan 3 definitely gives you more over and above Plan 1, but that's not to say that you can't get started with Plan 1. You can. It again covers most of the basic functionality that you would need to use to create simple schedules. And of course, there's more to it. And as I said before, you can scan that QR code. That'll take you directly to the Microsoft Project for the Web service description page, where you can see feature availability by project plan. And it's quite a lengthy page. And it really does give you a lot of detail. So do go and check that out. And at this stage, you might be thinking, well, what if I've got team members that simply need to go in and either view the plans or provide task updates against work that's been assigned to them? And well, in this regard, the great news is anyone with one of the stated Office 365 plans can get view-only access. And even better, if you've got an E3 or an E5, you can actually go in and provide updates against your assigned work. So when you compare this to Project Online in particular, this works out much better because no longer do you need to license every single user so that they can perform basic activities. Now, this is really open, really accessible to the wider community. So this should really help with uptake across the organization. And just before I move on to the live demo, I do want to highlight the Project for the Web. It's really a bit like a Lego set, and you can extend it to do more than what you see being displayed on the screen. So if you want to do more than simple project creation, simple task creation and resource allocation, you can do more by layering on top of this the Microsoft Power Platform. And I'm not going to go into detail around this topic because I did cover extending Project for the Web with the Power Platform in a recent video that you can find a link for in the description below if you're viewing this on YouTube. But again, by layering on top the Power Platform, you can do much more outside of the basics that you get with the standalone application. And you will see some of this as part of a live demonstration, but I'm moving on to now as we peel back the curtains. So yes, I'm going to provide a brief demonstration now of Project for the Web as a standalone app. I'm also going to show you what it looks like in brief as a extended solution with the Power Platform through the Accelerator Plus Power App that we've already created. I'll highlight some of the Teams integration. I'll highlight a little bit of reporting in Power BI. But again, this is going to be a bit of a taster rather than a deep dive of the environment. So here I am now in Office 365. And here we are. Sorry, Microsoft 365. It's been renamed. And I'll click on the waffle. That of course gives us access to all of the different apps that we have in the environment. But what we're interested in is project, and I've already got a tab opened with project being displayed. So this again is project as standard out of the box with plan 1, plan 3, or even plan 5. And from this page, I can either go in and create a new project, and I could do so by selecting one of these templates. Let's go into marketing campaign. So again, I can create a project based upon a pre-canned, predefined template. Of course, you can create some bespoke templates as well, but we'll exit out of this. And I'll go back to new project, and the other options are that I can create a blank project. So if you want to work from a blank canvas, create your own masterpiece, you can do that. But we could also import a project plan in from Project Desktop. And in fact, pretty soon you'll be able to import in a planner plan. So it might be that you've started a plan in Planner, you've outgrown Planner, you want to do more, you'll be able to bring your plans in. The timeline for that, hopefully it's going to be this calendar year, although there's no definitive word from Microsoft around that. But on the other end of the spectrum, you might be using Microsoft Project Desktop. Maybe you find it's a bit clunky, or maybe you're using Project Online and you're thinking about migrating across to the newer solution. Again, the ability to import your plans really makes it a lot easier to do that. I'm not going to create a new project. I'm not going to create one from a template either, because I've already got some pre-existing projects in place. So we'll click into one of them, and again, this is going to be a very quick look at the environment to give you a glimpse of what it looks and feels like. I do have another video on YouTube that is a beginner's guide to Project for the Web, which is much more detailed compared to what I'm about to do. So here we've got the grid view. That's one of the standard views. We also then have the board, the timeline, the inbuilt charts that you get that are very similar to what you get with Microsoft Planner. There's a people view, there's more stuff. The grid view is really the most traditional layout, as you can see, and I mean there's a lot of columns being displayed. I'm not going to talk through them all because they're largely self-explanatory. I can also see who's assigned to my tasks, and that's linked to Office 365 user profiles. So pretty much anyone that exists in Office 365, Microsoft 365, you can assign against a task within this solution. Of course, we can build in a bit of governance through the custom solution that I'm going to demonstrate a bit later, but for all intents and purposes, this is a very traditional, simple view called a grid. For those of you that are using Planner or like to work in more of an agile way, we've also got the board view as well, which is a lot more interactive. You can click and drag, move things around. You can click into the tasks as well, populate this information. Really quite nice, really easy to get to grips with. And by the way, the grid, the board, and the timeline, all of these views are linked. So if you make a change in one, that cascades through to the other views as well. So it's not like you've got to make changes in individual views. Separately, it's all linked. This also is quite a traditional view. It's the Gantt chart view. And here I've got my tasks being displayed. So this one's already partially completed. These have not yet been started, but I can extend them out. I can, reschedule them by clicking and dragging. I can also go in and create links between my tasks. Really simple to use, much more than Project Desktop, which some users find really difficult to get to grips with, especially when they're not formally trained. Whereas this, pretty much anyone can pick it up really quickly and start working with it in a matter of minutes. We also then have the inbuilt charts, which you can filter, by the way. So, before I filter, you can see you can go and hover over any one of these elements, and it gives you the detailed breakdown of what's going on within the picture. We can also filter. So let's look at all late tasks. Beyond this, let's switch over to the people view. This is showing you where people are working. Of course, we've still got the filter applied. So Lydia's not doing a great job. This task is falling behind. Somebody's going to get told off, and it's Lydia. But if I go in and remove that filter, we can now see the bigger picture with a wider team. There's a goals feature that was launched literally 2-3 weeks ago, and you can define goals, strategic goals, but we can do much more by linking to Viva goals through OKR integration. I'm not going to talk about that today. That's coming up in a future webinar that is currently penciled in for September. That'll be myself and my colleague Paco that'll be presenting that topic. So do go and find the events page on the Wellingtone website and register for that if you're interested. But you can see there's a fair few options there. I'm not going to, again, go through all of them. By the way, there's also groups integration, one of the things that I should mention. So if you're already used to working in teams, establishing groups, and adding people to the teams and creating these little bubbles where people are able to access things like documentation, calendars, this is tied into the same group's infrastructure. I've talked about teams, so let's go into teams. So here I've got my teams and the various channels being displayed. And we're looking at this sales and marketing channel. In fact, we're in the general channel that sits within the sales and marketing team. And you can see we've got all the posts there. We've got access to the files, the notes. I've got my planner project there as well. So that's being displayed. So this is planner. Again, you can see the resemblance between this and project for the web, but I've also got my project for the web plan integrated into this as well. So I'm going to let it load. It's now loading. Then I'm going to expand it. So again, my full plan linked to this specific initiative is displayed, grid view, board view, timeline. I can access it, update it, whether I want to do it standalone in project for the web, or I can do it integrated into Teams. Again, it's the same plan, makes no difference. I did talk about the extended solution and I'm going to display that really briefly. So this is the Accelerator Plus Power App that we, Wellingtone, have created, and this is used as the basis for all of our implementations. So whether you're working in a PMO, maybe you're a legal team, again, there's various flavors of the Power App that we can deploy. It's not really a one-size-fits-all. We can create custom apps to extend a project for the web as required. And again, I've got other videos that I'll link to in the description below that will go into more of a deep dive, but the Accelerator Plus extends project for the web. Lots of options there on the left-hand side, and for the sake of time, I'll click into the project list. This is a list of all of my projects. I'm going to select one of them, and I'm going to go into Edit. And the reason I'm doing this is to show you the drill-down view of the initiative here. So this, again, is the project we are looking at. And before I talk about some of these other pages, let me click on the tasks, because you're probably wondering, okay, well, where's project for the web? Well, here's project for the web. It's embedded or wrapped around, or wrapped within, I should say, the Accelerator Plus Power App. So there's my plan. That underpins a lot of the data that you're seeing in the other tabs, or you will see once I get into the wider demo. So before I talk about the summary page, we've embedded in a workflow to take you through the stage gate process for this specific project. All of this can be templated up so you can build in your governance process, which is really quite nice. And beyond the simple tasks within your plans, we can capture much more detail. So things like descriptions, which program does it sit within? Which portfolio does this project reside within? And you can also tag things like sponsors. We can build in things like raid logs. So again, if you want to do more than just the basics with Project for the Web and you're looking to use this within your PMO or another team within your organization that needs more power, we can build it, we can deploy it with the Power Apps. And this again is the Accelerator Plus, the Power App that we use as a basis for all of our implementations as a starter for 10. One final thing I'll demonstrate. So if you are plugged into something like the Accelerator Plus and you want to get portfolio-wide reporting, you can do that. So I'll do that now by going into this portfolio dashboard. Let me tag that so it brings up this wider chart. But again, these are interactive reports. They're really, really wide ranging. So anything from health reports to financials, to timelines, to milestones, to things like risks dashboards. Again, a lot of data is available for reporting, and that's what we're pulling out here. And they're all interactive, as you can see there. I'm just conscious of the time, so what I'm going to do is go back to my slide deck and wrap this up now. Peeling back the curtains again, not as impressive as what it was the first time around because I've gone from a blank slide. But let's talk about next steps. So again, I've only scratched the surface and gone through that demo at breakneck speed. So you probably want to get more of a deep dive. And again, there are some pre-existing videos that you can go and access, and you can view any one of those. But you can also get in touch with me to go through a bespoke demo. So if you want to do that, get in touch using the details that are popping up. And in a similar vein, you might already have looked at the tool and you might have looked at some of the videos and you might be thinking, well, I'd really like to understand what an implementation is going to look like in my organization. So in order to give you a bit more context around the implementation approach, how much effort's required, what the costings look like, we can provide you with a half-day envisioning workshop. So for that or for anything else, get in touch using these details. So you can get in touch by emailing me at baz.kinder@wellington.co.uk. You can also find me on LinkedIn in a variety of ways. You can either type in that URL if you feel like it. You can type in my name. You can scan that QR code. All of those routes will take you to my profile. Whilst you are on LinkedIn, please do follow Wellington as well. We share a ton of content, which I'm sure you're going to find incredibly insightful. And if you're not already viewing this on YouTube, then do follow our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/WellingtonPPM. When you're there, do subscribe, ding the notifications bell as well to be alerted of new content. And really, that's it. I look forward to hearing from you in due course. And if you've got any questions, all you need to do is get in touch and we will get back to you as soon as we can. But I hope you found that useful, and thank you very much and have a great day ahead.